video I'm going to share with you some of my personal struggles recently for the intention of helping you grow as I grow. And that's what the whole channel was originally intended for, is to share with the people that care to listen my process of growth, body, mind, and spirit. Recently, I've experienced an immense amount of depression and struggle in my marriage and in my personal life. Outside of the cocoon, outside of the training, outside of the YouTube, my personal life and these intense struggle dealing with relationships, dealing with my marriage. And I never experienced it to this extent ever before. And it was a learning experience, and it was also something that concerned me as far as my direction in life. And it also put me in a mentality of understanding what other people are going through and why there's so much violence in this world and suffering and misery and things of that nature. You know, no matter who it is, no matter how strong they are, everybody has their breaking point. Everybody has their limitations. Physical, mental, it's clear. People could be driven mad. And a lot of times we don't see the whole picture, and we don't know what really happened behind the scenes. We just see the result. And we see it all over the news. You know, this person goes mad and kills 10 people at work. This person goes mad and kills this person and that person. This person gets mad and kills up all these babies and then themselves. We see it everywhere. Madness. And a lot of sadness, a lot of depression. And I was even looking at some documentaries before this happened where they're mentioning how certain drugs, maybe even these common drugs that are over the counter, can cause some type of dysfunction in the brain to lead people towards violent behavior or suicide, things like that. As far as whether or not this is true, it'd be hard to prove, but it's a possibility. And that clearly is a concern. Physical pain is physical pain, something that's, I think, easier to deal with than mental pain. Because physical pain, you know, say you're getting a shot from the doctor, or say you got, you know, you sliced up your finger, it's hurting. Say you even got shot. You feel the pain physically, or you broke your leg, or you broke your arm, or you got a headache. I mean, the physical pain is physical pain that a lot of times you see where it's coming from, and then you could try to fix it or try to ease up the pain, right? But mental pain, emotional struggle, that's something that's very difficult to deal with. And that's what I was encountering, and it was a big struggle for me. And I hit a breaking point, mainly within my marriage, and these struggles that we had, struggles with jealousy and things like that, and just a lot of unhappiness within the both of us. And then it gets me to think about situations like Danny Chen. Some of you guys might not know about his situation, but he just experienced a lot of emotional struggle dealing with racism within the military, and then he ended up killing himself because of it. Now, when you go through a lot of emotional struggle, how do you handle it? A lot of times, that's what will um, be the cause of domestic battery, where you will hurt the person that's causing this emotional pain, right? And then you could go to jail, get a record, and go that route. Now, you could hurt the person very badly. Some people kill the person and then they end up in jail for life. So there's that violent behavior that you will express onto others when you feel pain within yourself. Now, Danny Chen, he could have done that. He could have killed all the people that were talking all this trash about his race. But he didn't do that. What he did was he turned the gun onto himself and killed himself. So that's another way of dealing with emotional struggle, is not to kill the other person or hurt the other person, but to hurt yourself or to kill yourself. Now, there's a lot of instances where people that live not too far from where I live, they jump off into the lake and they kill themselves. People go into a high-rise building, they go on the top of the building, they jump off the building and kill themselves. Get a gun, shoot and kill themselves. So you got the hurting other people, and then you got hurting yourself. And those are extremes. And either one is not something that you want to deal with. You don't want to hurt other people, but then you don't want to hurt yourself. But then there's still this emotional pain that you're going through and you want it to stop. So how do you get it to stop? And that's one of the hardest things. Now, people may seek for professional help from psychotherapists, doctors, and psychologists to try to have a middle person step in and try to help. A lot of people will try to communicate and resolve it, but that doesn't work all the time. One of the best ways to deal with it is just leave and get away and give yourself some time to think, give yourself some time to calm down, give yourself some time to meditate and get away from that pain of whoever may be causing it. And that's how I normally would deal with it. And writing helps to try to heal. Talking to friends that listen could help to try to heal. Because in a way, the friends serve as like the unlicensed, unofficial psychologist. 'Cause a lot of us may not feel comfortable speaking to a stranger about what we're going through. Feel more comfortable talking to friends or family, and that could help the situation. But there's no easy answer. There isn't. Everybody has that breaking point, and they may result in physical violence towards others in order to stop that emotional pain. And it's understandable. You know, if somebody is constantly being negative towards you and you can't get away from it, if you could go to another room and don't deal with it, that's fine. If you could go to another location where you don't have to see the person, then that's fine. But if you can't get away from it, the person continuously is putting negative energy onto you, and you want it to stop. And you try to communicate with them and they will not stop. I see that physical. You may have to be physical and result in the violence to make it stop. And that's why a lot of people may end up in jail. A lot of people may end up in death row because they took it too far. Or they end up hurting themselves. But the fact of the matter is, there has to be a solution to get the people that are causing this mental stress, to get them to stop. There has to be a solution. You can't just allow them to continuously push negative energy onto you until you kill yourself to make it stop. Now, you may not have to kill the other person, which clearly is not a good idea, having to go from 0 to 100, but maybe you go from 0 to 50, and teach them a lesson. And what I'm talking about is not just about relationships with your girlfriend or your wife or your children or whatever, but just the most common struggle that we encounter out there, which is different types of intimidation and bullying, where you may have some bully that is constantly pushing negative energy onto an individual, and this individual really has hit a breaking point where they feel like they need to fight in order to maintain their sanity. And I understand that, because everybody has that breaking point. See that we will get along if we all are respectful with each other. But without that respect, there's a lot of problems that arise. and these problems could lead to death. And the mafia and the gangs, for example, they fight for this respect. They're willing to die for this respect. Now, when you don't go through intense emotional struggle, you may not understand why somebody would be willing to die for respect. But when you go through this, you can understand that basically the statement that words will never hurt me, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. It's a false statement. So see that when somebody's pushing negative energy onto you constantly, there comes a time when you have to fight back and do what you have to do to keep the inner peace within yourself. So I have a different outlook now, and my biggest struggle is not with the stranger, not with the person on the street that's trying to beat me up, not with being robbed or dealing with hateful comments on the internet. My struggle is with my relationship with my wife and keeping that relationship healthy and strong. That's the struggle. And if she becomes very negative towards me, I can't allow her to overtake me and everything that I'm supposed to represent. So if I'm a positive person, I can't let her negative energy overwhelm my positivity and even take away my entire sense of happiness. A lot of it is dealing with it before it gets to a breaking point. Meaning you have to communicate constantly the way that you feel before it gets to a breaking point. Because once it gets to the breaking point, it can mean devastation. So constantly communicating to a person to always remind them to be respectful. And don't let people get so comfortable and used to disrespecting you and treating you in a certain way, because then it could just keep building and building and building until it reaches a breaking point, such as the Danny Chen situation where he just takes his own life, or in other situations where they reach a breaking point and they just kill a bunch of people. You need to communicate immediately forms of disrespect. And you can't tolerate it. You have to let them know right away that you're not going to put up with that. That you're not the one. Now, going through these struggles and reaching a breaking point mentally, emotionally. I could see why there's so much violence in this world, there's so much killing. I could see why there's an appeal to competition fighting. I could see why people smoke weed, smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol. I could see why people take drugs. I could see why people just eat very unhealthy. I can see why people just don't care about their health. Because without a sense of love, without a sense of loving yourself, without feeling what love is, if you don't believe in love, if you don't have never experienced it, love, and you don't even know what it is, it's very easy to just disconnect yourself from everything around you and in a way have nothing to live for. There's no motivation in life. Imagine if you don't value love, that you either don't even believe it exists or you just don't have no care for it. And on top of that, you don't value money, you don't care for money. Then what else is there? You see the pointlessness of existence, the meaninglessness of existence. And that could drive you towards doing a lot of self-destructive things, such as competition fighting or, breaking the law when it ends up, you end up going to jail, taking drugs, robbing people, hurting people. See that a big reason why there is um, the Freddy's Modern Kung Fu and me trying to teach and help and share is because love entered into my life when I met Jenny. And she completed the martial art within me. She put the spirit within my martial art. Through my experiences with her, it taught me what love is. And it made me see that it exists. Now, as far as it being a part of your life for eternity, that's a difficult thing. But she taught me that it does exist. And that there's an immense beauty to it. And that's what completed the art in order to turn it into what it is now. But during the struggle that I just encountered, I was reminded of the state of mind without that, without the spirit, without the love, without the compassion. And it's a very self-destructive vision that's clouded with a lot of negativity. Now, there may be a lot of compassion inside, but there's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of suffering, and there's a lot of depression and sadness that's covering that heart. And that's what happens when you don't have faith in love. Some people may associate love with God and say God is love or love is God or whatever. But that's kind of where I'm getting to. That without the love, without the spirit, without God, without this sense of compassion, it takes away the meaning to life. It takes away purpose to life. It takes away everything worth living for. And then it encourages you to participate in self-destructive behavior. May it be hurting yourself, hurting other people, killing other people, fighting with other people. I can see why a lot of people have sadness, because when you don't experience love and you don't even know what it is, you live life not really having a purpose. And there's really no meaning to life. But how am I supposed to share and show people that love exists and that it's something that people should value and integrate into their way of living? It's hard to share that. It's something that you have to experience. And not everybody has the opportunity to experience it. And that's why there's so much suffering around. Now, I'm thankful that for the time being, we communicated and we're working on our relationship to repair the damage. And I'm working on repairing the mental scars that I've suffered through this experience. But I stepped into the shoes of how most of society is. A lot of hatred, a lot of violence, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. And when you see romances on television or in movies that are trying to portray something with love, it almost repels you because you don't believe it exists. Because you know you've suffered so much pain inside, so much sadness, so much depression, that you don't believe it exists. That it's all bullshit. That you would rather promote and engage in violent behavior than to appreciate love. And Jenny, my wife, is the one who helped me bring love and compassion and spirit into my expression of the martial art. Without her, it would not be the way it is now. There may still be the compassion, but it'd be covered with a lot of sadness and suffering, a lot of depression, not much smiles, but just a lot of seriousness. So, someone like Buddha have a lot of compassion, but it's expressed in a very serious connotation and a very would be expressed in a very serious and almost lifeless expression. Because you see, for example, a lot of these followers of Buddha who may call themselves Buddhists, there's really no celebration. They may have given up sex and become celibate. They may shave their hair and be bald, go around begging for food. Not too much energy. But Osho, who is another expression of a Buddha, would promote laughing, dancing, singing, intimacy, joy, and celebration. Now, they're both enlightened, the Buddha and Osho, but the expression of this enlightenment and this awakening is different. And what I'm basically saying is that without Jenny and the experience of love that I have with her, there wouldn't be as much life and celebration and joy in my expression of the martial art. There'd be more seriousness, less life. So she brings into my expression a completion, something that would be difficult to find, because the martial art is overwhelmed and with men as a representative of it. Women are typically pushed out. So, talking about the martial part of martial art, the martial aspect, a lot of violence, a lot of anger, a lot of hatred, a lot of destruction. But where's the love? Where's the peace? Where's the compassion? Where's the yin? Where's the feminineness of the martial art? It's missing in a lot of the expression that you see out there. But because I've experienced love with Jenny, it helped bring that aspect, that artfulness into the martial art in my expression. And that's why what I have to express is hard to find, because I've integrated a certain energy that has been repressed from the martial art for maybe thousands of years, if not longer. So I'm a human being, I go through struggles, and I'm in a position where I want to help people, but I have to be strong in order to help people. If I'm not strong myself, if I'm not physically strong, mentally and spiritually strong, I can't help. If anything, my involvement could hinder and hurt other people's development and lead them towards the wrong way, which is not good. So meaning, say there's a certain direction that you want to go to, say there's a place that you want to go, there's a gym that's 1 mile away, if you go in this direction, in the right direction. Get you there as soon as you possibly could get there. If I know this direction, I could help lead you towards the right direction. But if I don't know the direction, and I give you another direction where you get lost, and then it, instead of being 1 mile away, it becomes 100 miles away. Just really, I've made it worse for you. So I need to be strong, like physically, mentally, spiritually, before I could reach out and help guide other people. But without my own inner strength, I can't help. You know, and this is a point in time where I need to rebuild myself back up to being strong. Even physically, I've lost a lot of strength through the sickness that was a result of my mental struggle, and I'm working towards rebuilding my strength. And mentally, you know, it's getting there. But I hope that I will never have to experience ever again reaching towards that breaking point mentally, because it's a dangerous point to deal with, and it's something that I need to learn to never allow to get that far. And a lot of it is, as I stated, learning to communicate immediately things that you're not okay with. You know, and a lot of relationships in general, all relationships dealing with respect. You can't allow a person to disrespect you continuously. You have to make sure that everybody respects you. And if they don't respect you, then you stay away from them. But if they're a big part of your life, like your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your wife, or whatever, your friend, if they want to stay a part of your life, they need to respect you. Because without that, there can't be a friendship. And without a friendship, there can't be a relationship. Not a positive one. You know, you need to develop positive energy within yourself. And you need to surround yourself with positive people that are respectful towards you. But if you surround yourself with negative people that are negative towards you, it could lead to your destruction. It's better to be positive and be alone than to be positive around a lot of negativity. And the people that are closest to you, your girlfriend, your wife, your children, or whoever, you need to teach them to be positive. You need to teach them to be respectful. They have to listen. There's no other choice. Because certainly you cannot allow a negative person to overtake the whole relationship, to overtake the whole atmosphere. Because by doing that, you have surrendered, you have lost, and now you've become a part of that negativity. So it's important that fix it. Because especially if you're a leader and you're helping other people, if you turn from positive to negative, then you end up leading a bunch of people towards negativity. And that's a lot worse than leading yourself towards negativity. So it is essential that when you're a leader, when you're a father, when you're a teacher, when you're leading, you have to maintain that positivity and guide people towards that continuously. Negative people will come in different forms. They're all over the internet. They're over on the streets. But they're also within the people that you're close to. And you have to educate them, communicate with them, to teach them that if you're close to me, you need to be positive. It's expected that people that are not close to you to be negative. It's expected. But the people that are close to you, they have to be positive in order to stay close to you. If they refuse to be positive, then you guys part ways. Because that will only damage your growth in life. When you allow negativity to infect your entire being. So meaning, I'll use something more easily identifiable as negativity. Say, you don't drink alcohol, but you're married to an alcoholic who gets drunk all the time. And they're destroying the harmony within the household. The alcoholic has to heal. The alcoholic cannot turn you into an alcoholic as well, and then you die together, or you both become destructive together. The alcoholic has to heal. If the alcoholic does not heal, then you gotta leave the alcoholic and move on. Maintain your positivity. That's just one example. But when you talk about mental, and you view things in a positive way, and you have faith in love, and you're promoting love, but then you're with somebody else that's the opposite, constantly negative, and promoting hatred, jealousy, envy, that person with the negative mind needs to transform. And you need to communicate that to them and teach them to transform. If they refuse, then you gotta separate and move forward. That's it. And as you grow spiritually in a world full of violence and hatred and anger, you may feel alone a lot. Because it's like a flower in the middle of a desert. There's nothing else around you like you. But you're the one that has developed into something beautiful. And you just have to appreciate that and accept that, hey, I may be alone a lot. This is part of my destiny. And occasionally, you may encounter others who value what you value and see what you see. And then you could gather those people together and create a little small community or family to promote positive growth within a world full of a lot of negativity. So I'll continue to work hard towards keeping my inner peace. And I'll work hard towards educating my wife and my children to have inner peace as well. And as long as I remain strong, I'll do the best that I can to continue to teach something that is rarely taught anymore, because you rarely see it. You don't see love much in this world. You just see a lot of violence and a lot of hatred. But I'll do what I can. But understand that I'm human and I'm not perfect. So you will see imperfections within my expression. But I see that also sometimes I have to express the imperfections in order to get people to understand. Sometimes you gotta speak at their level in order to spark something.